there is no money coming in. They can't even afford, I mean, Jay Leno's making jokes about their police department being able. It is an extreme example of what happens when you don't renegotiate the deal with the unions, and the unions have refused to do that, just like they have here in New York. Look at, I mean, again, you can have a long conversation about this. In order to deal with that pension issue, the first is 2 steps. Number 1, you need to set up a Tier 7, whatever you want to call it, that radically reforms the pensions, going from a defined benefit to a defined contribution plan. Until you do that, New York State will not get out of the fiscal hole that it's in. You need to reform the Tribunal Amendment, which handcuffs the negotiators from the county or the school district or the agencies by basically telling the unions you never have to give up anything. Your deal only gets better. Until we have a Tier 7 and until we reform the Tribunal Amendment, we won't get to the next step, which is that the state has to take over a significant portion of these municipal obligations. It does not make sense for the state to do that until we reform the pension system and reform the Tribunal Amendment. But if you do those 2 things first, so that then you sort of put a cap on what your long-term obligations are, and the state comes in, and it's going to have to be a bond offer. Let's not fool ourselves. There's not enough money today to pay those pension obligations. So first we've got to stop the hemorrhaging, and once we stop the hemorrhaging, we've got to come up with a long-term financing plan that can only be done at the state level. Rochester, Buffalo, Syracuse, maybe Hornell, and these other cities are going to go bankrupt. They don't have the money. The numbers don't work. And even Tom DiNapoli, who's a liberal Democrat from New York City, but he does own a calculator as controller of the state of New York, has said that. So people that want to talk about negotiating with unions, I mean, knock yourself out with that, and when you're tired of that and get a headache from knocking your head against the wall, then let's talk about reforming the Tribunal Amendment and coming up with a Tier 7 that includes a defined contribution plan, not defined benefit, which we will never be able to pay for.
What you're going to have to negotiate with the unions to do, what you just said you can't do. You're talking circles, Bill. You just said you can't negotiate with the unions. We try that doesn't work. But here's what we need to do. We need a new pension plan, and you're going to have to talk to the unions.
We need unions.
Scott Walker did come up with a solution that did not involve negotiating with the unions.
That's right.
That's right. Anybody that thinks we do that.
Every former union member here who's basing their pension on what they've earned is probably saying, yeah, screw those people who did those pensions, those union dues. Let's get rid of them.
Okay. One more question, and then we're going to have
This
to
isn't
wrap
a
up.
question, it's a response, because I'm a teacher, I'm the head of the HEA. Last year we had problems passing a budget in our school district. The combined unions got together with the superintendent and gave back hundreds of thousands of dollars so the tax rates wouldn't have to go up. So if you're going to sit there and tell me that the unions can't be negotiated with, you're wrong.
I'm talking about serious
I'm talking about local, and we think Randy should represent the local people. All I've heard you do is bash Democrats, which probably half of the people here are. If you ever think you're going to get a vote from any one of us,
Well, you got my vote. You got my vote, Bill.
Okay, hold on. Can I just respond to the teachers union? What's your retirement age?
it depends on...
What's your retirement
It
age?
depends on what tier you're
What's
in.
the 55, 57?
Depends what tier you're in.
How many people in the
years you
private
have.
sector? How many people in the private sector get to retire at 55?
Don't make us jealous.
So,
I mean, they went to school and worked hard.
look, again,
So now
it's
you're
not
gonna
a
bash
question.
teachers?
I'm sorry, it's not. I'm not bashing teachers.
Sure you are. The first
I'm
thing you do
saying-
is you bring up the fact that we get to retire at 55 if we've gone to college, put our time in and worked hard.
God bless them.
God bless you that you're working hard, but you know something? I'm sorry, but you cannot retire at 55 or 57 anymore. It's not good. It is not economically viable.
Yeah, it is. Our pension plan is very stable.
Good luck, Mike.
Well, it is, isn't it?
You can't. I'm sorry. How can you tell people? No, actually, this is a great discussion. Explain to me how, with the property taxes funding the school district, you can tell people that are working into their 60s and 70s and making $30,000 or $40,000 a year, if they have a job, that they should be working to pay for the school district taxes to pay for other people to retire at 55 or 57. I'm sorry.
Taxes don't pay for our retirement.
No, they don't. The New York State retirement system does.
Where do you think the New York State retirement system gets its money?
The teacher's retirement system is paid into by the teachers.
Good luck with that. That discussion, if we don't have that discussion, we will continue driving off the fiscal cliff.
Look at my chicken.
And you can say, this is what we bargained for, and so on. That's exactly what they're saying in Sacramento, California, and the other bankrupt cities there, and places like
Keep dealing
Detroit.
in fair, people will keep buying it.
If
It's
you
working.
don't accept the reality of where the numbers are leading you, you will wind up like those places. The numbers don't work.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring it to a close. Past our time. I'd like to thank Randy and
Do you have a
Bill.
positive thing to say
About Hornell in
about
particular?
Cornell or the area?
I love Cornell. Got a great radio show here, a great radio station.
Excuse me, again, I'd like to thank Randy and Bill for coming tonight. All of you for attending, and I appreciate it. Have a good evening.